Die, traitor scum.
Ooh, Secessionists are going to lead the way.
Trident Wargaming. Build it, paint it, play it.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Trident Wargaming. We have a special episode for you today. I am joined with my co-host Scott.
Howdy.
And we are going to be talking about that sweet, sweet Badab War. And this isn't your grandpa's Badab War. This is Badab War 2.0. We are going to be kicking in, or I should say bringing in Badab into 10th edition using the current range of Space Marine units out of that sweet new codex. But before we get into that, I guess we can chat a little bit about hobby progress. What have we been up to the last week here? I can go first. I've been busting out quite a bit of Marines in prep for this Badab War. I've been working on a shit ton of stuff. I am actually currently working on a custom Thulsa Kane model. If you've been following the socials, you will see pictures of that. There's going to be some pretty sweet attention to detail, I think, from some of the guys jumping in on this. You'll see a lot of customized characters to really bring that flavor to life. It's been very nice. I've been busting out gladiators. I've been trying to build like a shit ton of inceptors and infiltrators, and of course my big Terminator bricks. It's been nice to blow the dust off all this stuff that I've been kind of sitting on for the last like 3 or 4 years. And it's nice to bring the executioners finally into the front center. The Drukhari, they're not thrown in the garbage as much as Arthur may think they are or want them to be. They're just on the back burner. They're actually right here. If you see this right here. They're getting painted, you know. I want to bring them up to that next level. They are tabletop, or aka battle ready, but I want to make them real showpiece ready, so I can rival Arthur with that best painted crown. So
well, and anybody who knows Bill Bonko knows that he can only stay away from power armor for so long.
It's true.
Before he has to go get that hit, the stim pack there. So
it's true. 10 years of heresy has done nothing for my power armor addiction in a positive way. Yep. So I'm jumping back in Imperium of Man all the way. Scott, what have you been working on this last week here?
Well, unsurprisingly, I am also working on some Space Marines, which, as Bill says, we'll be talking about a lot this particular episode because we have something really cool coming your way with Badab 2.0. I've been trying to catch up a little bit on the backlog I've had on some Marine kits that kind of, maybe got sprayed or never even got out of the box. We're working on a captain this last week or two. You know what? Ooh. Frankly, I actually think this generic captain, Primaris captain, might be my best paint job ever, and he's not done yet. But I know you can't actually see him that well with my quality of camera. But man, I am very happy with this model as it's coming along, and I'm sure he'll reward me by probably dying first thing as soon as I start playing with him. You guys know how it goes. But I got a few other kits that I'm working on, and a few others that are kind of older kits that I have had done up for a long time. But that, again, with something big on the horizon here, I kind of want to freshen them up, give them a new coat of paint, touch them up here and there, maybe improve upon what was there before. So that's what I've been working on. I think it's been 2 characters this week, and some Gravis armor last week, and who knows what next week will bring me. So
very nice, very nice. It's so wholesome to hear about all the power armor going on right now. I'm sure. I'm sure there are many listeners out there who are getting the warm fuzzies, just feeling happy knowing that there's more Space Marine bros jumping in. But I guess we should tell them about what the exciting stuff is.
Absolutely.
So to explain, which I'm sure Scott will be able to do much better than I'll just give a quick brief thing. in the new year, we're going to be jumping into a Badab 2.0 campaign/crusade. It is going to be held locally. We're trying to gather as many chapters to this magnificent cause as we can, while remaining true to the roots of the actual lore and the story. I guess, you know what, I'll let you kind of explain a bit, Scott, as to what you were doing with it, because I don't want to butcher it. It's beautiful.
No, that's fine. Absolutely. So I mean, the background, of course, is Badab's always been something close to both Bill and my heart. Bill, of course, has these executioners. He's been working on those for years. And people who know me know that I have a Minotaur's army, which I started way back in right around 5th edition, right when kind of the Forge World Badab War books came out, the two-piece set that they had, which we'll be referencing a lot for this upcoming campaign. And so Bill and I have always kind of mused a little bit about running a Badab campaign again, and we've never really gotten around to it. I don't even think, unfortunately, we've talked a lot about even just getting our armies on the table, and unfortunately, we haven't been able to do that. So it was something we talked about this last year, and then we knew 10th edition coming out, and of course that means new edition, new Space Marine book. And so we thought, hey, as soon as the book was coming out, let's finally do this. Let's make this happen. There is some kind of some hitches and speed bumps to get through there, which has kind of occupied my time for the last month or so. And that has been that, of course, to do so, we wanted to reference some crusade rules, a good narrative system to kind of run this sort of thing. But for 10th edition, that really hasn't been updated. I mean, GW does have a one-page document on their website right now, which basically tells you to play 9th edition crusade rules and quote-unquote change them where necessary, which anybody who's played crusade or understands the depth of the narrative system knows is a big job. So that kind of delayed our start a little bit because, I've been going through all this stuff and trying to basically piece together a crusade system that works within the confines of the 10th edition rules. Somewhat made easier by the fact that, of course, the Badab narrative is basically exclusively Space Marines. Although our campaign won't be, we'll touch on that a little bit. But over the last month or so, it's had kind of all come together. And finally, I think we're working right now just on kind of touching off the campaign pack that we will be getting out to you guys fairly soon here, for you guys to all start salivating over, hopefully. And what we're going to do is we're going to run what will functionally be a 12-week campaign, 3 months. It'll only have 5 rounds in it, 2 weeks per round, and then we're going to have also a RTT, a 1-day, 3-game event right at the end. That'll be following the original Badab War narrative. We'll be providing you guys with a whole bunch of the lore from that, as well for the campaign rules and such. We also have gone through and meticulously redone all of the original characters, the special characters from the Badab War books, for all the chapters that participated, and kind of refreshed them and given them new 10th edition 40k data sheets. And we'll be doing some signups for everybody coming up fairly soon. Get people involved. We're hoping to get 20 or 30 guys together for this. And like Bill said, we'll be running a campaign. As he mentioned, we have also kind of updated this, not just the rules for 10th, but of course, a lot has changed for Space Marines since 5th and 6th edition when Badab first kind of became a big narrative. We've had to kind of make some decisions there on what goes in, what comes out. And I think that you guys will be relatively happy with the way we've done things. We have wanted to incorporate all the new Space Marine stuff. This is not a Firstborn Space Marines campaign, not because we don't love them, but simply because there is already a game full of that if you want it. And it's called Horus Heresy, which Bill will be happy to direct you guys towards any time. So this will be this is a true blue, brand new 40k campaign, set along the Badab War narrative, focused on Space Marines, but focused on new Space Marines. And I'm sure anybody who's interested already has a million rules questions. Don't worry, it's all covered in the pack. We'll touch on a few things tonight, but we're not going to get too deep into it because otherwise we'll be here for hours, which is the thing we want to do, but with you guys in person. So that'll be coming out. Like Bill said, we'll be kicking that off early in the new year, I think. And hopefully, with the packs coming out, you guys can check those out, and you guys can start engaging with us on social media there with all of your wants, desires, needs, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. And not to kind of beat a dead horse, but I really want to emphasize the work that Scott's put in. I know I've been telling him, like, oh, dude, you did such a good job. But honestly, like, the work he's done to make the characters true to their roots, make them feel like they're actually functional in 10th edition, not broken and not shit. It's like a fine balance. I've been going through all the characters and I'm blown away. Like, I think they're all right where they need to be. I've been busting out my Imperial Armor books and kind of flipping through what they used to be like. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Jump over to the document, look through. I'm like, oh dude, this is awesome. Like, he's done a super good job. So I'm stoked. I'm working on a custom, like I said, Thulsa Kane. Really trying to emulate him from the book and the lore to be this badass motherfucker that's going to be rolling out and taking names, like any executioner should be.
Bill really wants you guys all to know who to blame if you don't like the rules. Yeah. Which is fair. It's fair. It's me. I am the problem. We will to cover like some things that I know is going to be on a few people's minds. So, like I said, we'll be hoping to get 20 to 30 guys involved in this. Badab War is absolutely a Space Marine centric narrative campaign. It'll be the first one that Trident has run. Hopefully not the last. So obviously everybody out there who's got a Space Marine army will be invited to come join us. The Badab War specifically does have, let me see, it's like, I want to say 14 or so Space Marine chapters off the top of my head that are actually involved. You do not have to be painted up in the style of one of those armies to participate. It's awfully cool if you are. I know we've got at least a couple guys who do have an actual visual representation of one of those chapters who will be playing.
You're looking at two of those motherfuckers right here.
Yeah, there you go, right? But you will, like, primarily we'll be looking for Space Marine players. We will be allowing rules from both like the Space Marine Codex, but also the Index Dark Angels, Black Templars, Blood Angels, Space Wolves. Those will all be allowed as well. But everybody who signs up will have to also sign up as a Badab War chapter that they are representing. So that, we are, for narrative purposes, kind of crafting that sort of thing. You'll obviously be able to sign up as either the Loyalists or the Secessionists. We won't be using any epic characters or epic heroes from any of the books. Just trying to keep the narrative nice and clean. You, of course, like Bill has mentioned there, we do have a full set of the Badab War characters that you'll be able to use, and I promise that they're exciting. So they'll be available, and we will. And this is kind of where the little caveat comes in. We will be allowing a few other armies into the campaign in small numbers. So if you don't have a Space Marine army, don't fret. There might still be a way for you to get in on this one. For one, we will be taking in some Imperial Guard armies if they want to participate, because, of course, those are very much represented in the narrative.
Yep.
We'll be allowing some Knight or Chaos Knight armies to be represented as well, possibly, if people are interested in signing up with that. And we will also potentially be allowing a little bit of Chaos Space Marine in there, too, including, like Thousand Sun World Eater Death Guard. All of these are kind of caveats that we're going to be adding into the narrative, or that are part of the narrative, I should say. But again, the focus is on Space Marines for this particular campaign. I promise you we will do a no Space Marine campaign at some later date. But for our first one, this is one that's been on the docket for a long time. So this is one we're going to be rolling with, and we're very excited to get going with. So that's just a little preview of what you'll be able to sign up with.
I'm excited already. I really am. It's going to be good. I know, just throwing around some ideas earlier today with Scott, and then talking with the enabler, aka Dustin, about, hey, like, how could we make this extra cool for immersion and everything else? And I will definitely be pushing ahead. Like, we want to make it neat. We're going to be setting up, like, it'll be a league style campaign to make things extra cool. We're going to probably end up having 3D printed battle barges to represent our fleets. And it'll be kind of something that Scott and I will like micromanage on the side, but we'll have pictures of updates where the fleets are engaging at certain points in the sector, and to also that'll represent our matchups. Just to add that little extra layer of cool. So I am stoked for that.
You were talking about getting some maps out, yeah?
Yeah, get a little maps using some of that sweet Planetary Empire tiles as our systems, and then having the 3D printed battle barges moving in. I think there's just a lot of opportunity here to get deep into the immersion. I know, like, the original books that were done by the one and only Alan Bly, who obviously was the grandpappy of Heresy. He did such a good job on this. We want to jump into it. We want to pay homage to that. We also want to put a new spin on it so we can, keep everything rolling, keep it fresh, keep it fun. If you ever want to go hardcore historical and redo the Badab with the original rules, by all means. It's just we wanted to jump into new, bust up the new and shiny. So it's
really,
exciting
like,
times.
I could not suggest enough the original Imperial Armor Badab War books 1 and 2. If somebody did want to faithfully remake, a Firstborn Badab War campaign, those books, like, they do it better than, frankly, they're doing it better than we can, but they've got a few more resources. But if you want to run that kind of campaign, I cannot recommend those books enough. They are spectacular. The art in them is spectacular. The lore is spectacular. And we will be drawing upon them heavily, including providing people involved in this campaign with a lot of that lore and art that is coming directly from those books to help kind of whet your guys' appetite and give you guys some insight into these chapters that have been so fleshed out that you guys will be participating as, and the characters as well, of course. And the narrative itself that we're creating with the missions and the campaign that we're running is very heavily leaning upon that original fluff. So, but if somebody is saying, well, yeah, but they really don't like, new Space Marines as much, they don't love the addition of Primaris and Gravis and all this kind of stuff to an older narrative like that, that's just fine. But those original Badab War books are spectacular for running a Firstborn, or Horus Heresy style campaign. The one we are running will be based entirely off of the new Space Marine book. One of the main things that, I've worked on to kind of make this as accessible as possible for guys is that for this campaign, you will only need 2 things. You will need your codex, and you will need the Crusade rules document that we will be giving you. You will not need anything else. You don't need 5 9th edition Crusade books or documents that you need to reference for a million little things. You don't need the Crusade rules from any of the old 9th edition books. You don't even need the Crusade rules in the current 10th edition Space Marine book. Some of those have been incorporated into what we have created, but you literally just need your regular match play codex kind of stuff, like your data sheets and whatnot, and your detachments. And then we'll give you a Crusade document, which is not short, but it's the only reference you'll need. So this will be nicely encapsulated in that way, and hopefully reasonably accessible, despite the fact that narrative, of course, is a deeper system with a little bit more going on in it.
Yeah, absolutely. I know, just even talking some of the boys in the weekend, Dan's like, Cullen doesn't have his Leviathan chassis, like, later on he, becomes interred into a dreadnought. And I was like, well, if you actually, we have a Crusade system in place. I said, there's an opportunity if your guy does die, you can put him into a dreadnought. And he was pretty fucking excited after that. So he was pumped.
That was actually, it's funny because that was actually one of literally the last things that I even thought of when I was putting the pack together. It was like, you know what? It is really cool if I could use the rules to kind of create that kind of mechanism where you could dreadnoughtify a character, if the right conditions arose. I don't know how much that rule will get used. We'll see. But again, like, this is kind of the fun part of having a new narrative system, even though, like I said, it is very much structured off the 9th edition Crusade system. Is that we kind of got to play it to find out how things are going to go, how guys are going to create their own stories within the confines of this campaign.
Absolutely. I know just from talking with some of the other fellow Secessionists, we're pretty hell bent on rewriting history. I think we're gonna bring
Bill here is already
bring the law
recruiting.
Oh yeah. Well, we've got people who are hyped.
Interested.
Also,
yeah.
What else are you gonna do? We were in Victoria for a heresy event, and on downtime, we're talking fucking Space Marines and Badab. So it became a thing.
I guess I can't exactly get on your case about spilling the beans when you're stuck in Victoria with a bunch of heresy guys. What else are you going to talk about? I get it.
He was like, "Hey, you guys want to hear something that's really fucking cool?"
As Bill is noting there, so Bill and I will be captaining the two sides of this campaign, both the Loyalist and the. Well, I'm just gonna call them traitor side. I know, secessionist, whatever. We all know how Horus or how Huron ended up. So pretty traitorous if you ask me. But yeah, Bill will be running the secessionist team, and I'll be running the Loyalist team. And like I said, by the time you're getting this podcast, the sign up should already be popping up for you guys to jump on this if you are interested. So you can sign up with us. Of course, I do have to throw out the caveat there that if the nature of such a campaign with two sides is that we do have to try to balance the players. So if you sign up as one, depending on exactly how things all shake out, we may need to shuffle people around to make sure the teams are even. So I feel like our goal here, or our protocol for doing that, will be that if you have a Space Marine army that is quite literally painted as a certain chapter, then you're going to get first dibs on playing as that chapter. Now, multiple people can play as a chapter, including people who aren't even painted in those colors. But it just means that everybody who actually is literally representing with their models a given chapter, you're going to get dibs to jump on the team that you belong with. After that, obviously, we'll have other people signing up. And like I said, you don't have to be painted in certain colors, but you will have to choose a chapter that you are playing as to represent for the narrative purposes of the campaign. Those are the folks that I'm telling you right now. Hopefully, ideally, everybody gets their picks and everybody's happy. But if it turns out that we have 15 people jump on and they all want to play Astral Claws because you guys are all a bunch of Huron simps, well, if I've only got 10 Loyalists, some of you are going to have to come over to the light side and join me, and we'll work from there. But we'll see how it all shakes out. You guys will get to see all the rules ahead of time, both the campaign rules and the character rules, which I'm sure will influence at least a few people's decisions.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But that is what it is. And then, of course, like I said, we'll have hopefully. Actually, I'm really actually very hopeful that we'll have a couple of Imperial Guard and Knight players step up to kind of add that flavor to this, because these are things that are armies that are relevant to the narrative, and I think they can still have a lot of fun involved in this campaign. So
yeah, absolutely. I just want to throw a quick PSA as well for people who are thinking about jumping in or looking at all these different chapters as we're talking about it. If you're like, oh hey, I really want to play Star Phantoms and their color scheme looks so cool and the chapter icon's awesome, but I don't know where to get them. Scumbag Custom does a lot of beta decals. Also, if you know anybody sitting on Space Marine Imperial Aeronautica boxes, those kits actually came with Star Phantom decals in them.
Hey, there you go.
So just throwing it out there. If you are looking for decals, that's where I would hit. I will put a link in the description as well, so you can check that out at your leisure and hopefully score yourself some sweet decals to represent the factions that you all want to play and love.
Yeah, I would say just in general, if you're looking for Space Marine related anything, But especially, iconography, decals, stuff like that, bits, stuff like that. Just hit up Bill in his inbox, drop into his DMs, and I'm sure he knows a guy. So
I may.
I do agree. Star Phantoms do look awesome. I do love their chapter symbol, and I kind of wish actually that I did have a Star Phantoms army, because if I were to go back in time, I actually might do them. I think that they're real sharp look. Yeah. But I actually think a lot of the this was part of what actually made Badab so big, is not even just the fact that suddenly we had this huge cool campaign, which was basically Horus Heresy 2.0 as far as the actual lore is concerned. Not that it was on that scale, but the amount of lore that we got, and the amount of effort that Forge World put into this. But like just visually, a lot of the chapters involved were really, really cool. Like, cool look wise, cool rules wise, cool in their individual stories and lore. Obviously, Bill, you play Executioners, I play Minotaurs. We were both smitten with at least one of these chapters. I was smitten with actually several.
Yeah,
I knew guys, and I'm sure you know some guys who played these armies years and years and years ago because they saw these books and were like, it's not going to be Space Wolves, it's not going to be Ultramarines, it's not going to be whatever. It's going to be this.
Yeah. Actually, before we started into our spiral into madness known as Horus Heresy, we actually were playing the campaign, and we were rocking out those actual chapters. I was Nova Marines back in the day, and then I slowly started to gravitate to the Executioners. As I was reading the lore, I was like, these guys are hardcore. Like, you don't fuck around. Yep. Honor above all. And I definitely I was digging the way that they played out in the lore and just the character and the whole motif. So I jumped in wholeheartedly, and after a little while, we ended up gravitating towards Horus Heresy, and next thing I know, 10 plus years of my life was gone. But we're here now, and we're jumping back into
looking to right ancient wrongs. Yeah.
That's right. And to be honest, you were actually correct. As far as like the lore goes, this is like the second biggest like Civil War kind of thing that the Imperium was caught up in, with like as many chapters that were involved anyways.
Yeah. And it's genuinely really cool. So
yeah, absolutely.
And like I said, my greatest hope is that we do actually manage to rope in, some of the guys who even some people who don't get their Space Marines out all that often, who maybe have something sitting on the shelf that is a Badab chapter. I would love to see some gorgeous Badab armies on the table for this campaign. And also, there's people out there who, especially guys who get their stuff together real quick, are very talented builders and painters who maybe are, thinking about starting or just starting a Space Marine army. This is your cue to kick that into overdrive and get going with us here, because this is a great reason for you to get those guys painted up and on the table. And I know for sure that, at least, like I said, Bill, I know a few guys too who have Badab armies who are salivating at being able to put them on the table in a narrative sense, and get their Executioners, their Astral Claws, their Red Scorpions. I'm sure. Let's address the elephant in the room. I am sure that there is somebody who has some Space Sharks, some Carcharodons who have not seen enough table time lately. The Carcharodons will ride again, undoubtedly. Always a super cool chapter to hear about. So
absolutely, I'd like to recreate the Red Hour. Come at me, hit me up. So,
well, maybe that will happen. Who knows?
Maybe.
Right?
You never know. We're rewriting history, though. It might not happen.
The eyebrows are bouncing for our podcast listeners right now.
So,
So, and literally, like right now, I'm already, the last kind of step of this is putting together the missions and the narrative for this side of things, which is what I'm working on currently. Like I said, by the time this episode drops, pretty much all the information should be out and available to you guys. We're very much looking forward to hearing about who wants to jump in on this and get involved. And like I said, this will be our very first Trident campaign that we are running. Like I said, again, it's very focused, I know, on Space Marines, but if everything goes well here, we do want to run more campaigns in the future. I'm hopeful, especially because we are so early in the edition, it's kind of one of the things that gets a little bit in the way of running Crusade stuff is that there is only, a small number of codexes out right now. But I'm hoping that, by middle to late next year, once we've got, 6 to 8 to 10, who knows how many codexes come out, a lot more armies are going to have a little bit more fleshed out rules. 10th edition is already shaping up quite well compared to the state that it was in, like, say, July when it dropped. And I know Crusade and narrative styles tend to muss about with the rules a lot, just from a gameplay aspect. So I'm hopeful that, with another 6 months or more of GW working on their own game, we'll be able to run campaigns middle to late next year that, can incorporate a lot more armies without having to worry about it getting too wild. But like I said, this one will be focused on primarily Space Marines, and we're actually very happy to be doing that. But we also want to be involving more people, and we definitely will.
Absolutely.
Just down the line.
Absolutely. And the big thing to take away from all this is with the narrative spin and using these new fleshed out custom characters, Rule of Cool is definitely going to be the focus. We really want to have fun with it. We want to lean into that narrative. If you want to go with the extra mile, Baron of Dice has a 20% off sale right now, and he has a huge selection of Badab War chapter dice that you can also check out. So I would highly recommend that. I've got a couple packs of Executioner dice that I purchased for myself just for this wonderful event. And I know Dustin also ordered himself some Astral Claw dice, so it's starting to spiral and get pretty wild. So,
well, I know. I mean, I've heard. I don't want to put him in put him out there too much, but I hear Dustin will be doing some extra cool stuff for the campaign as well, and
yes,
occasionally might be able to be convinced to do extra cool stuff for some other people too. So
it's true.
See how that all shakes out.
It's
see how
true.
that shakes out, because I know one thing for sure that we will see with Badab here and the characters and everything is that I'm sure there will be some people making some new character models to represent their Badab War characters. I guess a little aside there. So for the campaign, like I said, we are updating all the Badab War characters to 10th edition. They'll have GW style data sheets available for you guys to use. If anybody has the old models, absolutely legal to use for this campaign. However, we expect that many of you don't. They're hard to come by nowadays, and maybe some have been lost to time. So we will be allowing people to make custom models to represent their Badab War epic heroes. You guys can touch base with us about that. We do have some rules about it, but hopefully we'll be seeing some what I think will be very cool custom models coming out from some guys.
Absolutely.
Which is always awesome when we can get that kind of hobby engagement as well.
Absolutely. And if you have original models, but you want them to be grand and new and hashtag true scaled, reach out, let me know. I can put you in touch with the 3D Resin Daddy, and he can make all your wildest dreams come true.
True. I've seen it for myself, so
that's right. But I guess you know what, we'll leave the Badab news there for now, just so everyone's excited and hot and bothered.
Check out the packs.
That's right. Check it all out.
Hit us up.
Let us know. Hit us up in the comments. Just jump in. If you've been sitting on the fence, pull the trigger.
Yep. There will be we'd love to get 20 or 30 guys, but there will be a limit to how many we can do. Yeah. Period. Right.
Absolutely.
There's just only so much room that we can fit in this campaign. So, we'll probably be doing kind of a first come, first serve sort of thing. If you're signing up with a non-Space Marine army, there is a limited number of spots as well. So make sure that you're jumping on it real quick. But also, it is a narrative campaign. So the standard caveat applies. This is not just a regular league. If you're signing up, make sure you've read everything and that you are committed to participating. Yeah. Because more than just regular leagues and stuff or one-day events, a campaign really, really does thrive on having everyone who's involved be involved. I'm not saying you can't ever miss a game. Ideally, you don't, though, that you can be able to participate. It's only going to be 5 rounds plus the RTT at the end. So you want to make sure that you're able to do that. And like I said, we're going to be running, early next year, 3 months, so kind of January through April-ish. Again, by the time this comes out, we'll be doing the sign up and you'll have exact dates. But we're kind of nailing that down right now in the distant past of Millennium 40, where we are currently existing in a warp dilated field. But anyhow, as Bill said, we'll leave that off for now, and you guys can touch base with us in the far future, grimdark as it is. But I think there was another topic we wanted to dive into, which is also a little retro, and that's to jump back to the past and talk about Hallowtide.
Yay! That's right. There was the Hallowtide RTT that we hosted not too long ago. It was pretty legit Halloween themed, which was always cool. I did not step on my master possession and feel like a bag of shit all day because I actually got good sleep and it was nice.
Yeah, comparatively you were fresh as a baby this time. So no, things went off great this year. Way better than last year, really. Not to say it was bad, but it was just a much bigger event this year. This year's twist on the RTT was the Highlander style. So that's forcing players to only ever take a single instance of every given data sheet within their army. You can take no doubles of a data sheet unless there was the little workaround that, of course, like for battle line units, if you took one of each of your battle line units, you could then take a second. But like, honestly, I'm trying to remember. I think the only people who even leaned on that were Grey Knights. There were a couple Grey Knight players who ended up bringing 2 Terminator squads instead of 1, and of course, as we had to actually errata the Votan because they literally don't have. I worked this out with Ryan. Votan literally do not have enough data sheets to do a 2,000 point Highlander style army. They cap out. I think I pushed them up to just over 1,700 to take at least one of everything plus 2 Hearthguard. It was not good. So we had to allow them to take 2 of everything, but they had to take 1 of everything first to make them work. But anyhow, we had a full house, big full house, because we also had Andy's bolt action going on that day.
That's true, yeah.
Big bolt action event with his gorgeous tables. Just incredible. Visually appealing stuff, and the event was 3 rounds, just all on a Saturday. It was also Aiden, Trident member Aiden Volmer's birthday. My birthday was the next day. We were all in various states of a good time, pretty much all day, and then of course the event itself went off great. So
yeah, no, it really did. I know I was on deck as a ringer, trying to get my stuff ready to go with my Drukhari, and I was bringing units that I have not played yet in 10th to try and kind of make that work. And I was like, okay, we'll see how this works. I was like, only 1 unit of Scourge and only 1 Ravager. I'm like, fuck, what am I going to do? Because my army is like in triplicate of the good shit. So it was interesting to make the army. I never ended up actually busting it out, but
no,
that's okay.
we ended up doing okay on the ringer side of things. That's like the Highlander style is near and dear to me. I actually think it's very fun, and in a lot of ways, it can be very good to make the game more externally balanced. Not always, but for a lot of books, especially because sometimes you have books that are oppressive, but they're oppressive because they are spamming a couple of overtuned data sheets. Now, sometimes we also get books like 40k Eldari, where they actually have tons of good data sheets, and they're more than happy to just use 1 of each. But traditionally, in the past, GW has more often than not, when they've screwed up with balance, it's been a relatively limited number of data sheets, and so limiting everybody to 1 of each has actually been sometimes good for external balance. Right now, it's kind of a bit of both. Like you mentioned, there are some armies like Drukhari who are really struggling, but they tend to lean very heavily on their very small number of data sheets, which are good. And this style, the Highlander style, unfortunately, actually kind of hurts them. But no matter what, it makes for a very interesting day because people are nowhere near as sure about their matchups as they normally are. Because you're seeing units you're not used to seeing. You're not being able to play with an army that you're used to playing with. And sometimes it can turn things on its head, and it can actually make you play with things that you wouldn't normally think, and I'm not just talking about units. I'm also talking about for Space Marines and for Tyranids, playing with some different detachments maybe or different enhancements.
Yeah.
So I think I got a lot of positive feedback through the day about guys who were doing things that they weren't used to doing and having success with it or having brutal failure with it. But it was a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, there's some good upsets in there too.
Yeah.
The young guy with the Imperial Guard army.
Yeah, Gabriel.
Was that his name?
Gabriel, yeah.
Yeah, he was kind of like really fresh first time into the event, and he was taking names, man. That guy was having a blast. So,
he ended up going 3-0 on the day. He had a great time.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet to see, especially like if there was ever a format to jump in and just roll dice and have fun. A Highlander definitely looked like a good time. There was a lot of laughs and a lot of cheers when you definitely saw some upsets happen. Like you're like, oh, this guy's a really good player. We'll see how the match goes, and then he ends up losing or just getting tanked. You're like, oh fuck, like it was pretty wild.
Yeah, I had my eyes especially on that first round matchup of Gabriel playing his Imperial Guard and Dave Cruikshank.
Oh yeah,
playing his orcs because or partially like I had talked with Gabriel ahead of time and he seemed like a real nice guy. Just first time meeting him, and I know Dave is one of the coolest guys you can meet in the city here. So I figured they'd have they'd have a good game, but also Imperial Guard versus Orcs. That's kind of a neat matchup, which you don't see a whole lot of right now because Imperial Guard aren't super common, and Orcs actually maybe aren't super common either, even if they are competitively a little bit more viable. And Dave had some of his awesome new Orc armies added in, or Orc units added in from his big win from the pack from. The 40 hours of play that he won.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, this has just got a whole lot. And then, of course, like this is also something for viewers to picture in their head. I think Dave is, give or take, 3 times Gabriel's physical size. So looking at the table was hilarious too, because it was probably the biggest guy in the place versus the smallest guy in the place. So I just was watching that, and of course, Gabriel ended up getting the upset there because I know Dave's a spectacular player as well.
Yeah.
And that was just the first of many kind of like, wow, I didn't expect that to happen kind of games that we had throughout the day. I think at the end, I'm doing this from memory here, so I'm pretty sure it was 4 guys who actually ended up going 3-0 because we had I think a full 32 people playing and only 3 rounds, so you get quite a few of undefeateds. And Gabriel was in there, and Josh Stapleton with his Eldar, and Scott Fox finishing second, I know, with his Tyranids. But Scott Fox did win Best Painted with some gorgeous Tyranid models. And then Kieran Trimby winning it all with his Grey Knights, actually finishing on top of the competitive ladder there. So we had a nice spread of armies, and some armies who don't necessarily win a lot of events as well in there. Like I said, I remember doing the painting judging there in the middle of the day and talking to you and Arthur and a few other guys as well. And we were pretty close on a couple armies too. We had some pretty gorgeous armies out to play. Scott Fox ended up, just getting that little edge to take the win. But there were multiple gorgeous armies on display and neat armies, like I said, because they're Highlander armies. So no repeating units, right? So these armies had very distinct looks to them, which was cool as well.
Yeah, it's true. It definitely it was definitely cool to see. And yeah, we did max out attendance for the events. It was wall to wall in there, which is always nice to see. And obviously the venue was top notch as always, with the bar being open and then having the provided lunch that you have come to know and love from all of our events. Overall, like, super positive. Was a blast. The I guess the tickets or the tokens when you were winning your games, being able to exchange for candy. I know people were pretty down for that as well. I myself swiped an O. Henry or 2 just to crush that, because O. Henrys are delicious. So
what Bill's mentioning there is the other Hallowtide mechanic, which is that every year I make sure there's tons of candy you can win throughout the day. Just like last year, we had no problem moving that stuff along.
Yeah.
But that's that Halloween theme for you. So, and like I said, the other thing there was also the as mentioned, bolt action going on, kind of capping off each row of tables where Andy had each of his. It was D-Day that was the
It was.
scenario, right?
Yeah.
He was doing that, and those tables, like I said, blew everything else away. It was awesome to be able to walk down the rows and just TOing and watching the 40K games, and then at the end of each line, sure enough, there's this awesome bolt action game going on, and they seemed like they had a ton of fun through the day. So
they did, for sure. It was like a big wrap up to the Slowgorg League that he was running, and this was like big D-Day themed battle. So he had actual three tables that were set up for like D-Day Juno Beach kind of Operation Overlord style. And then as the matches progressed, some of the D-Day Beach tables went away, and then inland style tables got set up. And then the players had different objectives and whatnot that they had to play on. But Andy spent like a couple months getting all the bunkers and the hedgehogs and just all the boats and everything put in. Like, he was working like a madman. And honestly, like the end result was phenomenal. It blew so many people away. There was even some of the patrons that were coming checking it out too, because like this is stuff that like 40K tables, they have their own look, but when you have this all in style, like real historical legit tables set up like that, it has a totally different feel to it. And it's stuff that you can literally look at and be like, oh, I know exactly what's going on here. And because you've seen it in a history book or in a movie.
Yeah. Well, and Bill and I have had the privilege of watching Andy work on this over the last literally months, both the terrain and the scenarios and all that stuff. And it was really cool to see the payoff of all the work that he's done for that event and for the Bolt Action League in general. I know it was a huge undertaking on his part, but you got to give him top marks for everything. And they had a wicked good event there too. So it was a real cool mixer. And looking forward to seeing how it progresses next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was awesome.
I just want to add also a big shout to Jason Hatfield and Dusty for helping out with terrain as well. I know collectively you guys all brought stuff together and really made the event shine. And I can't say enough good things about it. It was legit. So
yeah, it was awesome. Speaking as we're kind of getting to the end here and wrapping things up.
Yeah.
Speaking of mixers, one kind of item on our to come list coming up December 9th that we want to make sure everybody is hearing about is we will be hosting a bit of a Trident mixer, Trident Christmas mixer, in fact, that we will be hosting at our usual digs at the Fraternal Order of Eagles, December 9th. Bill, you want to throw some details there?
I definitely can. So like Scott mentioned, it is on December 9th. It's going to be starting at 3 p.m., kicking off with a Bits Bazaar / kind of soiree where if you've ever gone to some of the local bit swaps that we have around the city, same thing. There's going to be tables and stuff set up for everybody to come hawk your wares, buy, sell, trade, whatever you want to do. And then around 5:30, that's kind of going to wrap up. Huh?
But bit swap with beer.
Oh, yes, with beer. Yes. With beer and with pub food if you really want to hit it.
Yeah, this is an important thing to keep in mind.
With beer,
help you get those good trades off there. So.
That's right. Yeah, like, hey, I'll buy this for $20. I'll trade you this, and I'll buy you a beer. It's probably the best goddamn deal you ever had.
There you go.
So
we're facilitating.
We are doing a food drive with it as well. Overall, tickets are going to be $30, and that is going to net you a steak or chicken dinner. And we encourage you to bring out your significant other, wives, kids, family, fellow friends that you game with. We want to get as many people coming out to this as possible. But if you want to just do the Bits Bazaar, you don't have to buy a ticket, although we would ask that you bring a food item donation for the food drive, because it's always good to give back as well to the community. And then, dinner will start at about 6. We'll do our thing, and then there's going to be a trivia night with some little door prizes and stuff for the trivia. Which would be super cool. It'll encompass trivia questions for multiple systems. just to really kind of crunch your brain and see how well do you know tabletop, and then kind of shut it down around probably 9 or whatever the case may be. But
we'll party as long as we got people to party with.
That's exactly it. And obviously, there's going to be the bar service the whole time we're doing our thing. Might do a little spiel just to recap the year as well. Like it's been a phenomenal year for Trident, and we want to share that with everybody. So definitely check the link in the description for that.
Yes. And like to add to that, like that's that I think we really want to touch on is ultimately the driving force behind us wanting to do this event, is that in the process of running all these Trident events we have over the last year or two, and not just doing events with the people we know, but meeting new people, getting to know people we kind of knew better, making friends of acquaintances and acquaintances out of strangers. We've kind of really been impressed by just the incredible depth of the community in the city. Not just tied to 40K, tied to Bolt Action, tied to AOS, tied to all of these games. And that was kind of one thing. We know that December is not a great event month. It's not a great event month for us either. We all get busy with the holidays. But one thing that we really wanted to do is provide something where people in this community can get together and just kind of be able to enjoy a nice dinner and an evening together. That's kind of what that season's all about. You guys are, in a way, an extended family for Trident, and we kind of just want to keep growing that. So getting together Saturday, December 9th, like Bill said, we have a free bit swap. You guys can come in. You don't have to buy anything to do that. We'll have lots and lots of space. Hopefully see lots of you guys out. And then we'll be doing the dinner. And as he says, really important thing with the dinner is that you guys are more than welcome and, in fact, encouraged to bring significant others out, kids out, family, friends, whomever. Bring the people who make up your life outside of the hobby. Like I said, we'll have more than a few options. Again, all that info is in the link. We've got a package there for you where you can check it out, and just be able to kind of mix and mingle with other people from the community, your friends, and maybe like us, maybe you'll meet some new people or get to know some people a little better. We just want to see all your faces. And really, as mentioned, one of the big core things here with this being a community focused event is that we are doing that food drive for the city, Edmonton Food Bank. In the pack, there is a link that leads directly to them. They obviously are more than happy to take cash donations as well. And there is a link that shows items of particular need. You don't obviously have to bring things off that list. Anything you can give is welcome. But we will be collecting for that, and we would love for you guys to bring out as much as you can for that. And then we'll cap it off once we've all had a few drinks and a dinner with some trivia. We will have 40K trivia, AOS trivia, Horus Heresy trivia, hobby trivia. We've got a whole bunch of them coming your way. Hopefully you guys will be liquored enough to get a few of them wrong and some prizes awarded for that. And then we can all take a nice break for the holidays before getting right back at it in January.
I couldn't say it better myself.
I know. That's why I'm here.
That's right. Not just a pretty face.
You certainly are a pretty face, though. So
thank you.
And yeah, so like I said, we will be coming back at you with plenty more action on the Badab War front. Yeah. We also will be doing an episode pretty soon here recapping some of the other events we've not hosted but been to lately. As soon as we can wrangle up all these players. Schedules are always, as with any sort of game system, scheduling is the number one enemy. So
It is.
That's kind of our issue there. But we'll be coming back at you with that. We've got more AOS content in the line coming up for podcasts here. We've got some more Horus Heresy stuff kind of. Our podcast bin is pretty diverse the next couple weeks. It's kind of cool. And then, of course, we'll be bringing you a little bit more content in December regarding not just these topics, but also some of that community stuff. And we do really hope to see you guys all out on the 9th. And thanks for coming out and hanging out with us tonight. And I expect that more than a few of you will catch me on the inbox side of things real soon here. So
awesome. Yeah. Catch you all later.
Have a good night.
Did you plug the Patreon? We need to plug the Patreon.